I came here to pay tribute to the contribution of Yoweri Byanyima to our area, Ankole, and Uganda in general. I would have wanted to say these words in Ruti. Ruti is the home of Yoweri Byanyima in Mbarara. But there is an East African summit which I cannot miss. That's why I decided to come here and say a few words about him. When somebody dies, we cannot resurrect him, but it is important to put on record his contribution. Some of us who know it. I'm speaking in English because the Yoweri Byanyima was national. It was not just for Ankole. There's a word they call Omtembuzi. Omtembuzi is a word for, means pioneer. People who pioneer things, who do things first. If it is many, we say Abatembuzi. If it is one, it is Omtembuzi. Now, Yoweri Byanyima was among the Batembuzi in Ankole in a number of fields. First of all, in education. As you can see, he was approaching 100 years of age. And he started teaching many years ago. I came to know him as a teacher in Mbarara High School in 1959. When I went there for what they were called junior secondary 1, which was like primary 7. That's when I first met him. But he had really taught for many years. I think he had taught for like 10 or so years or more. And you can imagine that in Ankole, those days, there were not many people who had had access to education to be able to teach in what they were calling the junior secondary level. At that time, there were 4 levels. There was the primary, up to primary 6, and then 3 years, initially 3 years, but later on they reduced them to 2 of junior secondary. And then there was what they were calling senior secondary, meaning senior 1 up to senior 4. And then initially they used to call it intermediate. Intermediate, which were 2 years after secondary school, which later we called HSC. So those were the 4 levels: the primary, the junior, the senior, the equivalent of HSC. Now, Yoweri Byanyima at that time he was teaching in the junior secondary at Mbarara High School. You can therefore say that he was among the pioneers of education in Ankole, of going to school and then coming back and teaching. And that's how he taught us. He taught me in Junior 1 and Junior 2, Junior Secondary 2. The second area in which he pioneered, together with a few others, was modern farming. You can call it a revolution, because in our area, farming was traditional farming. But him with some few others, taking advantage of the program which was started by the colonial government in 1958, when they cleared tsetse flies from some of those areas, started modern ranching in what they were calling the Ankole Massacre Ranching Scheme. Thereby, he became one of the 3 examples of modern farming in our area. I say 3 examples because there were, first of all, there was Mbara Stock Farm. This was a government farm where they were demonstrating modern farming. So that would have been one of the first example of modern farming. Paddocking, spraying cows for against ticks. The pasture development, all that was new to our area. Now, there was one other example by a man called Mbire. Mbire was a farmer. He was a Mkochi, somebody from Kochi, from Rakai, who had a farm between Kashari and Shema. That was the second example. The third example were these people, the ranchers. For them, they were concentrating on beef for livestock. But when we learned from them, when we saw what they were doing, then we were able to now also modify it later. But using the example and start dairy farming. That's how that area eventually went through a revolution, as you can see now. If you go there, the area is changed. So again there, he was a Mtembuzi, a pioneer in farming. Then there was politics. He was one of the early members of the Democratic Party, and we were his supporters. I was a very active youth of the DP. So when I see these DPs of today, then I say, these ones, I just keep quiet. I just keep quiet. I think among the old DPs, there's Wenje here. Was one of the So Mzee Byanyima, after, because I left Mbarara High School in 1960 myself, end of 60, then I went, but soon after I left, he left teaching and joined politics. And we elected him because he was in our constituency, Ankole North East. Very big constituency. That constituency now has 2 districts. The whole district of Chirhura, what they call Chirhura, the whole district of Ibanda, and Kashari. They were all in one constituency called Ankole North East. And we elected him twice. My parents, me, I was not voting that time because I was 16 years, 17 years. But Kategaya, who was in UPC, and who was only 1 year older than me, who was not supposed to vote, because at that time the voting age was 21. It was not 18 like now. So Kategaya was also underage. But Kategaya voted, and did not only vote, he voted up 8 times. He's the one who told me. So for me, I didn't vote. I didn't vote in the election. There were 2 elections. One election was 1961, which Wanuka won. Although there was boycott here in Uganda. So organized by Mengo. But Chiwanuka won. That's how Ben Chiwanuka became chief minister, what they were calling chief minister, prime minister. And then Mzee Byanyima became, they were calling them parliamentary secretaries, like assistant minister. Assistant, you can call it assistant minister. There were 3 levels at that time. There would be cabinet minister, somebody were calling it deputy minister, and then parliamentary secretary. He was appointed by Chiwanuka as parliamentary secretary. That was in 1961. But in April 1962, when we were approaching independence, the UPC and Kabaka Yeka, because they didn't like DP. They didn't like DP because the DP, the Chiwanuka had insisted on a unified Uganda. While these men were talking of federal, you know, this federal they were been talking about. So we had a new election now in April 1962. That's how UPC got 37 seats outside Uganda. DP got 24 outside Uganda. And then Kabaka Yeka had got 21 seats through indirect elections. So that's how UPC and Kabaka Yeka made an alliance to form that government that short-lived government of 1962 to 1966 when there was a crisis. So again there, Mzee was a pioneer, was a Mtembuzi in the politics. And he was a principled one, not like the others. He was a principled one. He would stick to his what he believed. And I would be speaking with him and Runyankore say, that's what he would say. These people are thieves. So because of those principles, when the alliance of UPC and DP collapsed in 1964, must have been because of the lost counties of Bunyoro. This is Chiwari district now. That's how they separated Kabaka Yaka and UPC. Many of these 24 DP MPs who had been elected, many of them changed sides. They joined UPC. So much that by 1971, when removed the government, only 8 of them were remaining in the opposition, including Yoweri Byanyima. A few of them, Yoweri Byanyima, Alexander Latim. There was somebody from Acholi called Alexander Latim. Obonyo was also from Acholi. Then there was, I think, Martin Okero. There was somebody called Martin Okero from Nebi. Just 8 of them had remained on the, I've forgotten the other 4. Magezi, Magara, is he still there? Magara, the one from Bunyoro. The brother of Kajura. He was still, there were just 8 who were still on the opposition. Now, for me, I was a supporter of DP, and when I grew up, I became very active, and I liaised with him to do, after my A level, 1966, he introduced me to some people, elders, some of whom I knew, some I didn't know, to start what eventually we came to do in our constituency, that area. I remember he introduced me to some people whom I knew in 1967. Some I knew, some I didn't know. And that's how we were able to do some good work there. So thereafter, he did his part. And most of the time as a pioneer, starting new things. Later on, when I joined the freedom struggle, the day, although he remained in DP, but we remained on good terms. For me, although he was a bit worried that I may become a communist. I remember one time he gave me a book called The ABC of Communism. He was trying to show me how bad communism was. He gave, because he was a bit concerned that I may become a communist, so he gave me a book. But we remained on very good terms. On the day we captured Mbarra, 1979, I went to, after we had cleared Amin's people from the town, I went to 3 places. I went to Nyamitanga, where I found Bishop Kakubi. I went to Haro to look for Bishop Betungura, but he had run away. He was not there. Then I went to Muzee's house because I had not showered all those nights who were walking. And which has the stand up, please. This is the lady who boiled water for me to shower, for which I owe her a cow or something. 4 cows, no problem. So therefore, I thought I should come and salute his contribution to Ankole. Nationally, of course, you know, he was chairman of DP. And in 1979, we tried to get into dialogue. Our group from NASA, the Freedom Fighters, we tried to get into dialogue with DP to see whether we could form an alliance, but it didn't. We couldn't agree on all the points. But you know, when we came from the bush, we invited many groups. Even the DP participated in the government. So I just came to salute his contribution, because we all shall die. What lives is your contribution. That one will go on forever. Jesus died 2,000 years ago, but up to now we know his work, and his work is growing. So dying is part of life, but what survives are our children, and they are here. You can see them in Muzee's case, and our work, our contribution. That's why I came here to salute Muzee's contribution. I thank you for coming to mourn for him, and I will not be able to go to Mbarara, but I have already made my salutation for his contribution. I thank you, and I wish you good luck. Thank you. Okay, people. This is for more. Okay.